Hey everybody, Riot Mort here, and it's Monday, which means it is time for the Monday Morning Meta Report. We're on our fourth big patch of the set, 16.4, and so let's dive right into the Morning Meta Report. These are the disclaimers. I don't know, I've done like 9 of these so far. If you need me to read them to you, tough. You can read them. They're there. They're the disclaimers. Okay, let's talk about the patch. As far as it's gone, not a lot really changed since 16.3. I would call it a better version of 16.3. It's still a very force cost skewed meta. A lot of things revolve around not just the 4-cost carries, but the 4-cost tanks in particular. Rift Herald, Garen, Braum, things like that. There's just really a lot of comps. There's a lot you can play, but it all kind of skews around that level 8 thing. That being said, there has been a positive change in that, like, once you kind of get this comp, there's actually room to cap it out, to go to 9, get some 5 costs, make your comp even stronger, play around things like Set, Kindred, various other examples. So 5 costs are now the way to cap these comps, which is good. There's still a bit more 3-star 4 costs than we'd like, but it is less than before, which has been good. So we have seen a drop of that. We've seen some more strategies there. It really depends on, what elo you're playing at, as well as what opening encounter you get, how inflationary it is, things like that. But overall, it feels like at least it's a step forward from 16.3, which is good. In addition, there's also some non-forceable options that are doing well right now. Ishtal obviously being one of them. Bilgewater's finding success, which is great. Shadow Isles. Now, Bilgewater and Shadow Isles are still kind of 4-cost based, but they're interesting. Zahen as well. He can do pretty well, which is cool to see. However, if I had a big criticism of the meta, there would be 2. The first one is that there's a lot of lines right now that are really hard to play and really narrow that just aren't worth it by comparison to playing something just more standard, right? This could be your Aurelian Soul, your T-Hex, your Silas, things like that, that it feels like you have to jump through a lot of hoops and have the right spot for. But even when you do, it's like barely worth it. When you could just play a Kaisa comp or play a Yunara comp, So that right now, I wouldn't say we have the ratio of difficulty to power right there. And then the other big criticism here is that 3 costs generally just don't exist in this meta. They're not worth playing. Trust me, I'm down like 300 LP trying to make them work, trying to learn, what's working about them and whatnot. But they're just not worth it, right? Like, I mean, a 3-star Mundo compared to a Rift Herald is like laughable. Not to mention the carries and things like that. So 3 costs are still a big missing part of the meta. We did those odds changes. Those did not move the needle much. The champions themselves just aren't really worth it. And then on the trait side, there's just a few things that are still a little underrepresented. Noxus has been kind of the one big origin that, like, again, from really high roll spots maybe, but the fact that a lot of their champions are in that 3-cost space, they're just kind of underrepresented. It also doesn't help that Swain is the most played unit of all time. So good luck getting your tank, Noxus. And then vertical classes. Vertical classes, I mean, generally we haven't seen anything like Arcanist or, when was the last time you saw a Quick Striker above 2? So just vertical classes not really seeing a lot of success either. But that's kind of the gist of the meta right now as far as the champs and traits goes. Portable Forge, as always, I said I'd report this. Really, there's not a lot to say here. Nothing's really changed. There wasn't a lot in the patch that would have changed it. It got a little bit better. I think it went from like 4.49 to like 4.47, but that could just be margin of error, or whatever. On 2.1 anyway. It's still good on 2.1. It's still a balanced augment on 2.1. It still performs a lot worse on 4.2. Nothing's really changed. But again, artifacts seem to be in a good spot. Some would say we sort of balance the fun out of artifacts a little bit, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So as promised, going to continue reporting that. All right. On the augment side, do have to call out a pretty big miss here. The Zahen Prismatic, there were some debates about whether it would be good, whether it'd be bad, whether or not giving a Bloodthirster was the right call. Well, based on the stats at both high and low elo, it's really good. Really good. So if you see this Prismatic, pick it up. It's doing quite well. That being said, if you see someone in the lobby with it, it is also pretty easy to grief, but it is doing quite well. So just calling that out right now, that augment's really strong. At the top level, Bandle Bounty Plus is also doing shockingly well. This augment, I don't know. This augment has been a challenge for sure. Its win rate is pretty good. You can see Bandle Bounty on here as well. So both of those doing quite well right now. Something we're going to have to look into. I don't know. Maybe there's a world where we have to disable these. I don't know. But those are doing well. Beyond that, Golden Egg is, again, where it should be. Solo leveling, this one's such an interesting case study to me because, again, this augment used to be pretty terrible and we changed nothing. But people have figured out what lines work with it, how to play around it, and then over time have figured out that no, it's actually quite good, and now it's sitting here in the overperforming part to the point where it may need a nerf, believe it or not. Evolve and Overcome, malicious monetization, hard commit. We talked about last time in the Monday morning meta report. I was like, I don't know why this got buffed. I forgot we gave it a bunch of extra gold. It turns out a lot of gold can make a pretty big difference. Looks at malicious monetization. So those are at the overperforming at the high elo. Low elo, nothing's really changed. It's a lot of what you'd expect again, which is verticals. The Jarvan Shyvana still does well because of Demacia. Silco's Revenge still does well. It's just easy to play, good at top fouring, low win rate. Rumble Carry, I do want to talk about Rumble Carry. This one was one where I talked about we were a little afraid to buff it because it performed very well at low elo, and then at high elo it was kind of bad. Now it's actually like solid at high elo. It's not in the overperforming section, but it's doing quite well. And at low elo, it's like insane. This augment's quite good. And it just goes to show you, kind of the buff scale here that, all it got was extra damage. That's it. But turns out that can make a big difference. So cool. Viego still good here for Shadow Isles, Malicious Monetization, Demacia Forever, Golden Egg, Ambessa, Kindred Duo, Noxian Invasion, which again, wild to me when Noxus isn't doing well, but Awakened Soul, Early Learning, Low Elo really loves that Sona reroll, and Expected Unexpectedness. So cool. On the underperforming side, again, another miss to call out here, World Runes. We made a new World Runes. It was interesting reading some of the previews about World Runes. I think a lot of people thought this augment was going to be broken. It's not, or at least it hasn't been figured out by any elo yet, but in high elo, it is the worst performing augment in the game right now. So, like I said, doesn't seem to be performing that well right now. So still some work to do there. That augment might need some buffs, so maybe expect to see it start to give more XP. Maybe it just asks you to play a comp that's just suboptimal. Who knows? Treasure Hunt. This augment's been bad for a while. Hefty rolls. Again, rerolls just terrible. Secrets of the Sand. This one makes me so sad. This augment needs to be better. It's also wild to me that like Renekton and Nasus have basically just fallen out of the meta. You don't see these champions often, which is really a shame. So I think there's some work to do there. Dumbify, Golemify, Wild Growth. Aura farming, we talked about this last time, still underperforming. It's really a shame to see. Ishtal Expeditionist and Pandora's Bench. Again, anything in orange here is basically my way of saying we're not going to buff these. They're where they're supposed to be. Much like Golden Egg, actually, on the overperforming side. These are the ones that, like, they have high win rates, low top 4 rates. That's what they're supposed to do. Chaos Evolution, Trifecta, no Scout, no Pivot. This one actually surprised me a bit. But again, just the ability to not flex into some of the major forecasts seems to be a challenge. Just not worth it. Trait Tree was another one that kind of surprised me. And then at the bottom players, again, nothing too crazy here. Dumbify, Trait Tree, Treasure Hunt, Cooking Pot, Alawi Hero Augments, kind of sad to see. Secrets of the Sands, Win Out, and Recombobulator. So again, these are the ones that definitely not doing as hot. On the known bug side, not a lot of progress. I mean, some bugs got fixed. You'll see some that were not here last time. But Yordle can mess with your shop UI, Void Gauntlet doing less damage than intended, Warpath still doesn't interact with ghosts, Ishtal Quest sometimes display the wrong number, but it's visual only, Luden's tooltip is incorrect, shows number of targets, Mess Hall messes up Otacon behavior, Mel Orbs count after she's died, if you've seen that bug report where you can do some wonky stuff with Mel. And then there's some double up issues that I hadn't mentioned a couple times, people called me out on that I should mention, which is that, things like the Ishtal Quest sometimes just don't work, which is weird. Fizz can become untargetable. So I think there's like one other one that I couldn't find easily, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So there you go. That is your Monday morning meta report. The patch continues on. I know some of the patches changes are already on PBE. So if you're one of those people that can't wait for next week for the patch notes, you can always check out PBE and see some of the stuff that's coming. But TLDR here is trying to make even more lines accessible. If 4 costs are our line, how do you get more things up to that 4 cost spot? So, yeah. And there you go. So, happy Monday. Hopefully everybody has a great week. Lots to come. So, yeah. All right. That's going to do it for me. Until next time. Take it easy.